not only be your stage host, but I get to moderate this next session in Wellness Track, sponsored by Signature Kitchen Suites, because it's a subject so close to my heart. But first, I want to welcome Jeremy Kreitz, Senior District Sales Manager at SKS, who will say a few words and tell us everything new at SKS.
Good morning. Thank you for being here. Before we dive into today's discussion, I want to take a moment just to introduce the brand behind today's event. You may have noticed something new. Signature Kitchen Suite is now SKS. With a fresh new look and logo, our evolution reflects unwavering commitment to performance, precision, and passion. But while the branding has been refined, our mission remains the same: to create a leading-edge luxury kitchen appliance that stays true to food, honoring the integrity and craftsmanship behind every ingredient and its maker. At SKS, innovation just isn't a goal, it's in our DNA. Guided by our commitment to excellence and passion for pushing boundaries, SKS has earned international recognition for its groundbreaking technology, from the industry's first built-in sous vide range to gourmet AI that is now in our wall ovens. Backed by LG Electronics, we continue to set the standard for the modern kitchen, delivering an elevated culinary experience for today's forward-thinking chefs. Rather than just telling you about it, let me show you. Here's a look how SKS is redefining the modern kitchen with this video. I think we all can agree that wellness is one of the hottest topics in design. Wellness topics can be diverse and personalized, with wellness spaces to circadian rhythms, to non-toxic materials, to air quality. But what's next? What's next is design with empathy, creating environments that balance comfort, function, and personalization while addressing the unique needs of generation neo-versed individualism with health challenges. If that sounds like a lot, it truly is, but we have an amazing panel today of experts to break it all down for you. So let's meet them. Moderating is the incredible Breegan Jane, who's switching gears to host stage to panel moderator. And joining Breegan are Candace Quinn, founder and principal designer, London Pierce Design; Erica McLean, principal designer, McLean Design Interiors; and Jessica Deuce, owner, J. Deuce Design. Welcome our panel.
Thank you. Well, I am so excited to get in this discussion, designing with empathy, what's next in wellness design, and I have some amazing panelists with me today, and I was just going to ask you to start by telling us a little bit about yourself and what the term design empathy means to you. And Jessica, I'll have you start.
Hello, I am Jessica Deuce. I am J. Deuce Design, and I'm also vacation rental designers. So I basically specialize in Airbnb and VRBO design, coast to coast. That's all we do. And what design empathy means to me is the guest experience from the moment of first contact when they see a picture to when they depart and they get an email thanking them for the visit. So that has to be something that encourages them to have a wellness experience at every rental we do. And so our empathy comes from trying to think of everything they could possibly need without them realizing that they needed it.
It's amazing.
Hi, I'm Erica McLean. I am the principal designer at McLean by Design Interiors. We are a residential design firm based in Dallas, Texas. We really focus mostly on space planning. We actually can do your architectural space planning, but we really take it all the way in through the end furnishings. Our primary core competencies are vulnerability and ultimately helping clients design in-home wellness spaces as one of our areas of expertise.
And Erica, what does design empathy mean to you? Because I know you're very versed in this topic, and we're going to get more into this, but I'm just curious what that brings up for you, design empathy.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, when I thought about that term, I think starting with the word empathy, it's like empathy is so much around how a person feels and how do you connect with how they feel. And there's two types of empathy, actually. There's cognitive empathy and there's emotional empathy. And I will say, as a person with emotional empathy, I highly recommend all designers develop their competency in cognitive, so you don't lose yourself in the emotional states of your clients. But to me, it's that aspect of design where, you know, design is art. We're creating art. Art is intended to make people feel and emote. And I think to do that, you have to understand how your clients feel, how they want to feel, so that you can carve out a design and artistry that is truly unique for them. So to me, I guess the term is all encompassing on art is intended to make people feel. So therefore, to help people feel and how to understand how you want them to feel, you have to have empathy.
And I love that we're having this conversation because from both of you, what I'm getting is a non-visual sort of, layer of design that I don't think we talk about enough. And I would love you to tell us more about you and what the term means to you as well, Candace.
My name is Candace Quinn. I am the founder and principal designer at London Pierce Design. We're based in Scottsdale, Arizona. We specialize in residential and commercial, and we do projects nationwide. Most recently, we launched London Pierce Home, which is our flagship showroom, and we have curated furnishings, art, accessories, and lighting to the trade and the public. And designing with empathy is a really important topic, and I'm really happy to be here today. I feel like in design, everybody focuses so much on, they say, oh, aesthetics and how does it look? But truly, design is how does it make someone feel? So our goal is to really understand our client. And I feel that that is what empathy is how can we understand them and their specific needs to create that space that really works for the client.
I love that we're a bunch of designers who get praised for our beautiful visuals, which, by the way, guys, all of these slides behind us are their work, their names are on it, some of my work's in there too, so enjoy those while we're speaking. But I like that we're getting deeper and talking about the non-visuals of our job and how important they are and how we really do try to serve and uphold people in their spaces. Erica, can you tell us more about your background and why you've dedicated so much time to understanding the psychological needs behind design?
Yeah, sure. So most of my background, my original career was actually as a professional Olympic athlete. And I was traveling the world, being in different hotels, and I started to realize the importance of my environment on all aspects of my performance output, my physical, emotional, and just mental well-being. So that kind of led me, I've been exploring environmental psychology since probably high school. It's always kind of been innate to me. So and then past athletic career, I went on to do software design for Silicon Valley companies such as Google and Facebook. And with that, I was traveling the world, going to meet people in their homes very intimately, getting to know them, their friends, their family, their communication needs. And for me, it was really that moment of being in their homes, getting to know who they are, seeing them laugh, cry. But then I had to take all of that back, those insights, and take that back to our team at headquarters and extrapolate that out into a persona so I could build something that worked for millions, if not billions of people. So for me, when I found interior design, it was okay, I understand the importance of wellness spaces or places on people's wellness. And then two, I love that intimate getting to know people, which is why residential design really, I was just drawn to it. So I think ultimately with my background, that's kind of why I'm so passionate about the psychology of understanding who people are, because I feel like I really intimately have felt and understand how your built environments and the things around you truly influence and drive your motivation and overall well-being and like kind of the overall health of your family.
Yeah, and for someone unfamiliar with the term neuroaesthetics and somebody who's so versed and educated, what does that really mean, neuroaesthetics?
Yeah, so to back up, when I was thinking about going into building an interior design practice, I actually wanted to go get a PhD in environmental psychology because that's the normal path, right? No. But I was like, okay, wait, nope, we're gonna go back to school for interior architecture. But I did find a program called the Science of Design. So I went through that program and got certified in it. And so I've really immersed myself in this concept of neuroaesthetics, which is really just the science of design. When you're designing a space or you're designing anything, everything is a sensory experience, touching all 5 senses. And every decision you make, whether you realize it or not, but when you come to realize it, you can't unsee it. Every decision you're making is impacting your client on a neurological level. And it's so important. And everyone, there's a whole neurodivergency scale that everyone falls somewhere on the spectrum. And I think being able to understand scientifically and cognitively who my clients are helps me make better design decisions for them. Something that's how, when we talk about we want to design something that's personal, I don't feel like I can get as personal as I need to without knowing kind of like their psychological needs and what's going to truly affect them from a neurological level. And I think that's the deepest level of personalization I think you can get.
Well, any designers in the crowd? Yeah, we double as therapists, right? So I think that's kind of what you're speaking to, is we really do hold emotional space, and we're also building spaces that, although they're physical in nature, there's a whole deeper level to our whys. Candace, I wanted to ask you what role you believe wellness plays in design and how we can enhance it with empathetic experiences.
So that's a really good question. I believe that wellness is very important. And I mean, what's more important than our health and our well-being at the end of the day? So as a designer, I feel it's my responsibility to introduce that to my clients and really understand, using that empathy, what works for them. I've seen a huge increase in wellness rooms in our projects, wellness spaces. So we're adding like saunas, steam rooms, even cold plunges. And it's a way for people to recharge, and it's like emotionally and physically good for them. I'm doing a lot of outdoor retreats, and that's fun because you're connecting with nature, and it's allowing them to just have that peace and relaxation in their home. It's a sanctuary. So we're introducing that, and it's just really about understanding them and making sure that we're incorporating the wellness aspect into the design, not just colors and certain things. It's sensory, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I was very surprised to see the addition of the sauna from Kohler in their booth experience. Did anyone get to check that out? And I think that is indicative of how much wellness is becoming a part of the residential experience. Are your clients asking for it a lot more than they were before? At least that's what I'm experiencing, and I'm glad people are appreciating it. Concreti also had an amazing cold plunge. That was like bright green. It was super cute. I don't know if you guys have seen that one over there.
That was good.
But again, just new offerings I'm seeing being showcased on the front end, not the afterthought that I have to beg my client to consider because I know it will be good for them. I appreciate that there's an understanding now and we can push our clients into those decisions. Candace, how would you describe design empathy from a visual standpoint? And what would it look like for you, just in terms of colors and textures and styles?
That's a good question. I feel that every space that I design, I always incorporate natural elements. Stone, wood, some sort of an organic element, because that really grounds a space. So that's very important. When it comes to colors, I feel like that depends on the client, of course, and what we're going for. But I always think of more of a neutral, maybe earth tone, something soothing that comes to mind. And texture is my thing. It's so important. And we layer a lot of texture. And texture is not only aesthetically pleasing, but also it's tactile, and it's just a way to elevate the design.
And Erica, and Jessica, to add on to that, what colors and styles would you describe for empathetic wellness?
Well, for me, it really depends on where the project is. I mean, you can be moody and dark on the coast. You just have to do it right. But I just wanted to say, I'm listening to you guys, and I think there's a little bit of wellness washing, and it's sometimes hard to decipher. So I wanted to share some language that helped me. When we talk about wellness, we don't mean a fitness room. We mean like what we're providing in those spaces to encourage wellness, right? And so when we do these colors or there's feels or these moods, we're actually doing things that help them physically and mentally. We're not just saying to incorporate the basics, right? And I love how you guys both articulated that, and I had somebody ask me that, so I had to get it out there.
Yeah.
I love it. And I think it's also about interaction.
Yeah.
Simplifying the way you use your space. I have clients that would love to have everything on their phone on an app. That would be streamlined for them. Myself and some other clients personally, that stresses me out. And so getting
Exactly.
back to the neuroaesthetics of it, it's really about building that relationship. And the wellness washing can dilute sort of, I think, the conversation, but it really is important, and I think that's why we're hearing it a lot.
Yeah.
And Candace, I did want to ask you,
Yeah, Brigham,
or Jessica, sorry, what experiences you've had with specific client needs, and can you tell us about one of those experiences or something that you learned from it? Continue to put it in real world for us.
All right. Well, we actually just finished a project in Bandon, Oregon, and the focus is for golf. That's the type of guest they want. They're going to golf at Bandon Dunes. And so we tried to think of anything a golfer would want. And we originally targeted men, but then we quickly realized women golf too. I don't, but a lot of other people do. So we started to incorporate things that would encourage for both men and women. That meant different opportunities for where you would relax or meditate or sauna or a golf simulator room and comfortable chairs that were really more ergonomic for men and women. We have an area where they can dry their things from the day because you're golfing in Oregon, so you need that. Lockers that were conducive to men and women. An area near the sauna and the hot tub so that if it's a large group, because it sleeps 18, if somebody wants a little more privacy to get into the sauna as opposed to just a group of men. So those types of things were very specific to this rental, but yet we created an environment that was cohesive for both genders and wellness.
That's amazing. And I think that another term that I'm hearing is just the vulnerability of being
Yes.
human and sort of living in our spaces, and us as designers creating spaces for them to allow those walls to come down, to feel vulnerable in, and to show up as their best self.
It's like intimacy.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
And I think to circle back also, to pick up what you were saying before around kind of that notion of like, the colors and the feels and all of that, I think some people will see, and we're talking about aesthetics, okay, like people praise us for the in beauty of our design, but I think it's more than that. Like you can see a space that you love in Architectural Digest, but doesn't mean replicating that space that you think is beautiful is right for you. And we were talking about in terms of also making it more tangible on, well, how do you make those decisions on what is wellness for your client? Like from a scientific standpoint, there's actually a triad. I'm gonna get nerdy for just a second. But there's three elements to really consider that everyone falls within this triad of hominess, fascination, and coherence. Coherence is basically how organized the space is. Fascination is how much kind of patterning and tactile things are in the space. Hominess is just how personalized it feels to you. And when you fall in that, when you're more neurotypical, you need more fascination in your space. You need more pattern, you need more fractal patterns, and that can be pattern even like the bubbling in your lighting or a rug or on your wall. But if you fall, people who fall more in the neurodivergent scale, and I think you've had some experiences designing with people in that, and you'll see there's some of my work up here that I did for a veteran's family, and the veteran had severe PTSD, so I had to be very cognizant on not going too far on the fascination scale. The colors, the patterning, even the grains of the wood had to be a lot more neutral and softer. And so that's just an example of how you might see a space and might think it's beautiful when you're looking at it, but it doesn't mean when you're in the space that it actually works with you on, like I keep saying, a neurological level. And so there's that layer of wellness. And when we talk a lot about lighting, bad lighting can truly make you sick if your lighting's not tuned properly. So there's just elements of that wellness. Like you're saying, it's not just fitness wellness, it's truly whole body wellness. And we're talking about colors, like every color has a frequency, and that matters as well in terms of the decisions that you're making. It could be the same color, but you may change the tone or hue of it or the saturation of it, just to adjust that frequency for your client. So.
It's amazing. I would love to hear more about your experience on working with a client with PTSD and how emotionally holding him in the space and having him share that information with you helped inform your design in that project.
Yeah, so I always come to my clients as open and kind of blank slate as possible and give them the floor. I'm the type of designer that I do want to design, like every one of my designs is very unique and personalized to my clients, and I just try to give them open-ended questions that don't stump them. I ask them more about how they want to feel. Like I don't expect my clients to understand design decisions or even which rooms they want to prioritize. I'm like, let's just talk about your home. Who's moving through it? How are you moving through it? For this veterans project, it was very clear from the onset and just talking about, and I just talk about what about your past spaces? What about is working and not working? It was very, very clear. They truly needed a sanctuary. I know that word can get overused, but for them, that's really what it was. This is actually their bedroom. So this was the veterans' bedroom, and I really wanted to design, like there's that back wall is a solid walnut panel, or they're panels anyway. So I wanted to bring in sort of like natural, soothing elements to really give them a true retreat for their bedroom. This is also in their home, but yeah, we were just keeping like very neutral, close to nature sort of palettes, which is what they found soothing. Like, and I knew very clearly, no reds in the home. No, and every family member expressed the same thing. No reds, no strong yellows, like just no strong, bold colors. And it was interesting to see how even the kids picked up on that, because I think they could even see that stressed their dad out. And so.
Yeah, it's interesting how triggers can just exist for all of us, but they're different for everybody, whereas a bright yellow or a bright red might be the perfect burst of creativity for somebody else. We do have to build these very personal, vulnerable relationships and have conversations that often we are not always equipped or have studied neuroaesthetics to hold, and it's kind of a lesson as you go through the road as a designer, the more and more clients and experiences you have. Jessica, I was curious, I kind of heard Erica mentioning lighting, and I think lighting is huge. Are there any things like lighting that you go to first when it comes to like what wellness specifically you want to like deal with first?
Oh, lighting is crucial, absolutely. From a guest perspective, it's different because this person is new to the home. So we're designing for somebody that we've never met, and we want them to feel embraced and safe from the moment they arrive. Right. So you can utilize lighting to do that. You can utilize lighting for their first experience of feeling safe and knowing when they arrive at the property where they go. You're using lighting to showcase where to find things, where your spot is to relax and read, how you're going to adjust lighting in the rooms. Not everybody wants full brightness in their bedroom. Everything's a dimmer. We have blackout curtains. We have adjustable shades. Everything you can think of, we try to design through lighting, absolutely, because designing for a stranger is unique.
Do you find that I have found that lighting has really changed in the last 5 years in our ability to utilize it as a wellness aspect? What are you doing more now with new technology that you couldn't do 5 years ago?
I wish I could do more, because another part of the guest experience is that they're not there to learn. So really amazing technology that we have, if it's too complicated, they're going to get frustrated. So as much as I love the advancements, we really have to articulate the new opportunities through your Kelvin, through different ways we structure the lighting in the home. But if it gets too complicated, they don't like it.
Right. Right. And I'd like to have lots of options.
Yes.
On and off.
And
Little goals.
different points.
Exactly. So you can set the mood, and I'm much more binary than an app, but I do love all the circadian rhythm lighting and how that's become more residentially available. I mean, God bless these beautiful, conventions that we get to be in, but the yellow light starts to get to you after day 3,
I
right?
just want a window. I'm just begging for a window in here.
I need some like candles. I need some golden glow, after 3 days.
Right.
So we can all see how it affects us. Well, that's amazing. Candace, any clients that stand out in needing your hand extra in terms of wellness or empathy that was a good experience?
I feel like I don't have any specific client in mind, but I feel like every single client needs something, and everybody's so individual in their needs. So really, at our firm, we take the time to get to know the clients. They fill out a detailed questionnaire, and that way we're able to really understand what their needs are and create the space to reflect what works for them.
It's amazing. So I just started the year out in Japan, which was amazing, and I visited an onsen. Have you guys ever been to an onsen?
No, but I want to go now.
This was my first experience, and they are basically a spa meets a hotel, and they give you clothes when you get there. You don't have to bring anything except for your toothbrush if you don't want to. And the whole thing was very interesting in experiencing design and wellness in a different way. I think travel informs us a lot in the way people have done things around the world differently that we can all learn from. But one of my main takeaway was their use of spas. So the onsen spas are hot springs that are like in the center of your hotel room. And then also when you go to an onsen, you get the ability to go visit like their hot spring spas. So it's all about getting into warm water physically. I was traveling with my 9 and 11-year-old boy, and you would think that a very calm spa with warm water would like not be the thing for a 9 and 11-year-old boy. And I will tell you, the way that I saw it change and relax their spirit was so interesting. And I just wanted to talk more about the home spa. I saw Richard over in Monogram put a refrigerator in his bathroom display, which I thought was brilliant because a lot of the skincare girlies are now refrigerating all of their skincare. And I think the spa and the bathroom are just going on a deeper level. And Candace, I'd love to hear about what you're doing in bathrooms and that spa wellness, because that's where we are literally naked and the most vulnerable.
And that, I feel like that's one of our specialties because so many of our clients are asking for that. So adding like the teak wood and adding the rock, and it's just that spa feel when you enter. Adding just even water, like a water feature and the sound, I love doing that. Lighting is key, so we're doing cove lighting, and we do the lighting in like the little shower niches and things like that where you just feel good. And texture on the walls, we're doing a lot of plaster, just very soft, and that's what I love. And even adding plants like the biophilic and just the air, and it's I love it.
Yeah, I've always tried to emulate like spas. It's where we all spend our hard-earned dollars to go relax. So the more of that I can bring in my home. I even like to look at what offerings spas have out on their shelves and emulate it in my guest bathrooms, because I'm like, they know what people need. I don't have to think about this. I'm just gonna copy the spas.
Good idea. We do that in rentals, absolutely.
Yeah, Jessica, what are you doing? Because you've got people coming in and out and you're planning for everyone and anyone. What are you doing?
Well, there's You know, we're actually designing a rental in Carmel, California, and it is going to be designed for a spa experience in the bathrooms. Every bathroom will have a different experience. And so we are looking at the cold plunge. We know we're going to have a steam room. We know all of those things and there's a huge sauna community, and people actually have these huge groups that just look for specific rentals that they can have a sauna experience at. So we're targeting those. So yeah, we're incorporating it.
And it's interesting how it folds over into all the rest of the design.
Yes.
I was just up in Mammoth and they had a sauna offering, but I realized their designer had not built for the need of the extra laundry. So there are often challenges that come up, I think, with the greatest of intentions, and when you can, make sure, you know, we're all thinking about the details.
Can I add to that? You bring up an excellent point for details. We also are incorporating the needs of aging in place in all of our rentals now, because that actually is also a part of wellness, and having that feeling of safety getting in and out of all of the bathrooms and amenities is just those simple touches. And there's beautiful ones here now. They've gotten less ugly.
Yeah, and it's about eliminating steps.
Yes.
What other steps are you taking to think about the aging renters coming in that are like no-nos for you?
We work with an advocate. Her name's Lorraine Woodward, and she's amazing. And she works with Rent Responsibly. And we've learned even down to, we try to incorporate ADA accessible bathrooms when we can in rentals, because there's a very small percentage of those on the market. But even down to where you have placed the faucet at the sink. The instinct is typically at the back, and we are now moving the faucet when we can to the side, because that is actually easier. We're doing more ergonomic handles, where we're placing the appliances around in the kitchen. All of those things we're trying to take into account for that.
And something else that we talked about actually backstage was a product I saw yesterday. We were talking about the rainfall shower head.
Yeah,
Yeah, you know, you guys know those rainfall shower heads where, you know, you get in the shower and like your whole body is wet, including your hair. Well, for me, as a black woman, I don't want my hair wet every day. And Jessica was saying, you're just like, you don't want your hair wet every day either. So that's something like to think about in terms of also empathizing with your clients. That's where understanding like their overall needs really matter. And I have never, so often I feel like we take a lot into account, I think, when we're designing and when products are coming out, but a lot of times we miss things. I mean, we're human, right? But there's so many also cultural elements to think about, whether it's different ethnicities, different cultural backgrounds. Like, you know, we're talking about color, and certain countries, certain colors like red, super important, whereas, you know, in another country, that's kind of a no-no, or it's seen, it has a negative connotation. But anyways, back to what I saw yesterday. I went to the Delta booth in the North Hall and showed up, and they told me that there's a new hair detangler that they were really excited about, and I was just like, that's not gonna work for me. I'm not interested. But when I walked up to the display, there was a black woman doing her hair in the shower with this, it's a shower head meant for curly hair to like stretch your curls and move the product through, move the water through. So, I mean, in curly hair, people, I mean, of all ethnicities, like anyone with curly hair in here knows the struggle. I literally cried because, I mean, that was something like I felt so seen. And I mean, that was a major company using empathy and seeing the breadth of, you know, their clientele and client needs. So that's just another aspect of empathy. And then thinking about, like with the vacation rental designs, you have people of all backgrounds, ages, and whatnot coming in there. So you have to be very cognizant of that. So anyways, I just thought that was such a beautiful example of using empathy also in product design, but then thinking about how us as designers would specify something like that for the right client.
And that's available now. That is amazing. Because, I mean, like, if you're a curly-haired girly, like, we are always shoving our heads under sinks. Like, it's a thing. So that's so awesome. Anything you've seen so far, Candace, that, like, stood out to you as something new in wellness that you saw here at Market?
I just got here today.
Oh,
So
welcome.
I'm sure, be finding a lot today and tomorrow.
Yes, definitely check out. It's so large and big,
Yeah.
but there's a lot of fun things to see.
Yes, I'm so excited.
Anything you're speccing in terms of wellness right now for any clients where you're thinking about even paint colors that are trending?
I feel like the lime wash has been so amazing. I love it because, again, that brings that natural. So we've been doing a lot of that in the entire house too. I mean, all over, not just in a spa or bathroom space. So that's important. And then, like we talked about, like steam and saunas, and we're just doing so much of that now.
Yeah, and do you think, I love the lime wash. I call it old school Venetian plaster because that's what it is to me. Everybody's doing it in beautiful ways. Do you find that maybe that's because of the soft movement?
Oh, yeah.
I think so. I mean, I'm working on a luxury high-rise right now, and we just finished Venetian plaster is a different technique than lime wash, so you're not wrong.
Right.
But yeah, so we just did a really deep, earthy brown red tone.
Yes.
But yeah, I liked it because it has just a subtle movement. We did the whole walls, floor, ceiling, but then I did the trim in the deeper hue, but just in a straight matte, so it just kind of framed the room. But yeah, it's a small powder room. It dark, moody, but like kind of almost cavernous.
earthy.
Like if you're in a cave, you're gonna have variations and facets on the walls, and so it kind of gives you that movement.
I think if we were going to put a visual on what we're trying to describe, the lime wash and that visual representation, I think, is a great way to sort of talk about and visualize wellness and movement and calm and where the trends are really going.
And it's quiet luxury,
Yeah,
in a way.
it is quiet luxury. I do want to ask you guys one last question. And to close out the discussion today, we will have time for questions after this. So if you have any, get them ready. But as we all deal with our clients, and definitely for the designers who are with us today, I would like to leave our audience with maybe one tip you have on ways to encourage empathy and vulnerability with your clients.
Or are we starting with me?
We can start with you, Jessica.
Oh boy, that's a big one. Okay, so how we encourage vulnerability
And empathy with our clients. Like in those first meetings when you're needing to tell them that, yellow and red are too stimulating for me. Do you have any tips on sort of getting to the heart of people?
Sure. Well, we actually have to have the conversation twice in a sense, because first we meet with an owner or investor and talk about the importance of the guest experience through wellness and vulnerability, because that's something that we're all getting educated on with this language and explaining how that works and how it's important. And it is part of your ROI and really your responsibility as a human in a sense. And then we have a second conversation with somebody we've never met. And after we've figured out our avatar with the owner or investor, we create what we would think this avatar would need to feel safe and vulnerable. So we look at it as, we actually have a program that we use to analyze what this person would be like as a guest. And we create what we think they would want to embrace the wellness and embrace the vulnerability.
And I love that you're using technology tools to help you achieve something so human.
Yeah, we actually review all reviews, positive and negative, and the income generated by rentals in the area over a 2-year period. And it's very scientific, actually, of how we create this avatar and how we can create their perfect wellness experience through AI.
That's crazy.
That's so cool. I think for me, I mentioned kind of asking them open questions about how they want to feel. So just making it about them. But I think also, I'm kind of, if you haven't noticed, kind of a open book, word vomity, just like here's me, kind of vulnerable, real person. I think most people say you've come off as very authentic. So I think it's that. I mean, I just show up and I bring myself, and I do it in a polished way. I have my systems, but I think showing them my heart and who I am, but knowing not everyone wants that. I have a lot of clients who are like engineers or attorneys, and they want it all buttoned up. So I know how to regulate, but I think a lot of it is that is just it's a two-way street on vulnerability. And I'll say, for me, in terms of clients and client selection, a client that I can feel that I'm not going to be able to get to open up, I just let them know gently that I'm probably not the right designer for them, honestly.
Because it's such a personal relationship. And I like that you emulate what you want out of them. And I use that trick too. I think by being vulnerable or being a little quirky or sharing your own imperfections, it does give people space to do it themselves back.
Yeah, and for us, I'll say, so we have this tagline, which is whole at home. We want you to live and be whole, or whatever version of you that is whole, that's what we want to achieve for you. So our client deck, when we walk them through it, in our first, it's kind of our second meeting when we do the in-person consultation, it actually starts out with visions and pictures of my family in our home and what whole at home means to us. And then I go through, and so why does this matter? What is my family? What were we trying to achieve with our own home? And then I show a few quick examples of other people. Well, other people want to feel like this or that. So, so bringing them into my life first.
Take the pressure off and give them space to communicate. And Candace, what about for you? Any tips on how to get your clients to open up and be vulnerable?
Yeah, so I do believe that connecting with the client is very important. And like you said, if they aren't willing to open up and be vulnerable, it's a lot more difficult for us as designers to understand. I always tell my clients that design is a story, and I want to tell your story. Don't just show me Pinterest. I try to figure out their style, but really knowing their story, their background, what inspires them, what motivates them, and who they are. And I really want to peel those layers and get to the root of who they are as a person. And it's important. And that way they open up, we have the two-way communication, and we can really deliver what they need.
They want. And I heard you earlier say you use a questionnaire as well.
Uh-huh.
Is there a part of your process in that allows them to fill that out in a space where they don't have to verbally reply to
Yes.
you? Are there tough questions in there?
Yes, absolutely. And I tell them if they don't want to answer some of the questions, that's okay. But the more that I know about somebody, the better. The project's going to just go so much better.
Exactly. And sometimes it's easier. It's like journaling. They can just
Yeah.
write it down privately and tell you all their truths.
Mm-hmm.
Well, this has been an amazing conversation. I want to make sure we have time for questions. Anyone in the audience want to talk a little bit more about empathy and wellness in design or have any questions for our amazing panelists? Come on.
Who's
There's
going to be
gotta be
vulnerable?
We did a good job answering all the questions.
I guess so. It's day 3, right? Everybody's just exhausted. Can you believe I'm still in heels? All right. Well, if we don't have any questions, then thank you so much, ladies. I enjoyed this conversation. I got a lot out of it. Thank you so much, and it was beautiful having you here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.